Have you ever wondered the secrets about a good presentation? What does TED Talkers make that you sometimes feel comfortable watching it? Or how could you make something like that? Wonder no more! Because in this video we will learn more about presentations. Specifically, how can you, every of us, can convert themselves in a good expositors, taking account that the preparation and the relationship with the planning, the types of presentation, communication skills, knowing your audience, and some graphic elements you can use in order to make the people count attention. Know your presentation in general. Ending with a summary of what we learned and how it can help us. Highlighting some aspect of me I can think it can improve in order to take advantage of this information. Let's get started! Starting an effective presentation. First of all, let's talk about us on how can we design our presentations, putting our personality and not just our ideas. Performing for an audience, it's not easy, but either impossible. And that's why you need to learn how to use your voice. Because a presentation is not only good content, but make a good impression. And for that, you need to be energetic, flexible, and stimulating. Although, of course, not everyone can do this with no hesitation. It may be the public or you that can be shy. But that's why you need and we need to develop that skills. Noting that some preparation or practice won't help. Some of these first steps I can mention are questioning yourself these questions. Don't worry. Once you get the answer of that, you can start with practice. Because who hasn't heard someone say, practice makes perfection? For this, you need to be clear when you need to inspire confidence and trust in your audience. In this point, you need to understand your presentation rather than memorizing it. Be assertive. Speak with confidence. Have a good posture and presence. Make the others notice you are here for it. Make contact. In order to connect with your audience, you can make them eye contact enough to catch their attention, but not that much to make them uncomfortable. Gestures. Use your arms, legs, facial expressions of everything you do having to emphasize the topic as a compliment. Make verbal contact. Make sure everyone can see and hear you. It can be by rhetorical questions that needs not direct answers but clear ones. As, what does this tell to us? Where you are explaining a graphic. Finally, check out the language you are using to your presentation is clear for everyone and not just for you. Because the audience need to understand. In addition to this point, something that matters a lot to the audience is your voice. The volume which you speak, the pitch, the rhythm, and the timbre are some crucial facts to make the people understand your message you are given by only hearing you. It's important to breathe. Sounds obvious, but when you are nervous, it's very complicated. However, a bad breathing can conflict you in your manner of expression, timing, or monotony of your voice. Try to make a comfortable breathing pattern. Drink water. It's very important because this can affect the quality of your voice even when you're talking for so long periods of time. Finally, these are some steps to prepare your presentation. Determine your purpose and objectives. Know your audience. Define your topic. Arrange the material to make sense. Compose your presentation. Create visual aids. Practice your presentation. Make adjustments. Analyze the room where you're presenting. And practice again. And having all that in mind can help you to get started to make better presentations, but that's not the only thing to take. So let's move to types of presentations. We start this thing with a sounding question, which is, there is an only way to do a presentation? For a Lucky, the answer is no. We need to separate the recommended structure with the way you want to implement it. And for that, I present to you the types of presentations. They can be classified as vocational, avocational, expository, persuasive, impromptu, extemporaneous, written, or memorized. To know what type of this you need to select, always have in mind the main goal of your presentation. So these are some types of presentation that can help you. Informative. You need to keep brief and to the point. You won't make the audience to fall asleep. And there is some recommended structure that most of the speech must follow. Time, place, cause and effect, and logical order. Persuasive. In this, you want the audience to do something specific. Either sell, buy, or support. This motivates people to take decisions or actions. You seek them to convince for a proposal. You could do an impressive introduction. Say all the advantage of what you're explaining have. Make them agree with you and how you feel their real needs. Close with a call of action. It's the best way to pursue. And finally, asks for an order, which means lead them to where you want them to be. Goodwill. These are mostly directed to people who feel better, improve reputation of a company, people. It can be ceremonial as an award presentation. Multi-purpose. This is more to let you know that there will be a presentation that have more than one purpose, as the dinner parties for employees, where you have to give an award. You need to make an expectation that grows gradually, organizing it hierarchically from the last to the most important one. Instructional presentations. In this type, you need to give new specific knowledge or even orders, because at the end of your presentation, the audience should have learned a new skill or something they didn't know before. Here are some recommended structures you can follow. Present the value, state the learning objectives, and for the demonstrating, you need to follow a simple process. The first, you made it all by yourself. The second, you made it slowly, explaining briefly. The third, made step by step and explain every one of this. And finally, let people make it by themselves if it's possible, because in this type of presentation, the feedback is very, very important. Make people feel understood and this teaching that you are giving useful to them. Arousing presentations. This is more about make people care or notice directly about a certain problem or situation, where you play with emotion to make audience be more open and receptive to the topic. Sincerely and enthusiasm are key words. To prepare a presentation like this, you can follow these recommendations. Start with a history. Show the need of the problem. Describe the solution and how you can satisfy the problem. Compare the unsolved problem with your solution. And finally, make a call of action, which is not very different of a decision-making presentation where you follow the same structure, but these are more specifically to move people in their way and the right way, the direction you want them to be. You directly tell them how and when to do it. You can present ideas, suggestions, or arguments to pursue. Now that we know the most important terms of how this works, you can understand that a sales presentation is but we already know how to prepare presentations, how to prepare ourselves, what kind of presentation we want to give to the public. What's next? there's something missing, and it's the communication. Take this advice. You can always be one step ahead of the others by communicating in a specific way. First of all, we need to have very present that communication is not limited to verbal, because there exists the nonverbal, the written, and visual. All of this influences the communication process where the sender sends a message through a communication channel to the receiver or receivers. The sender encodes the message in an appropriate way to the communication channel, and the receivers decode it to understand its meaning. Misunderstandings can occur at any stage of communication. So, there is a potential noise, which is anything that interferes with the communication process between the sender and receiver. To know if the communication was effective, it needs to be the minimized to potential misunderstandings and overcome any barriers in each stage of the communication process. So, to avoid misunderstandings, you need to organize your information. Here are some points that you need to have to present. The presentation structure. Summarizing all we said before, it's just to put an introduction, a series of main points, and a conclusion as something basic. Introduction. You explain the content and the purpose you will give to people so you gain people's attention and trust. Notice these elements? Can help you. The main points and transitions. It helps maintain priorities, focus, and follow-up sequence. And link ideas. It's important because that's a way that the others understand the correlation about one idea or other. A conclusion. Normally you make a summary of the main points you had and the goals you wanted to make, but some people forget about it. So here's something that you can have on count. It's that. Don't we know this? What's next? What's next? I guess you say. We need to get on the stage and analyze what we have. Whom are the person am I exposing? And most important, my main objective here. Key elements of a presentation. There exist some key elements that you can make your presentation have one direction or other. Changing not just your way you speak, but how the presentation is created. From the planning to external factors that could include you as an audience, physical means as the space, or sounds and projection. This section will take 3 key point elements which are you as the expositor, your audience, and summarize towards your main objective. First, we are as expositors. It's normal to present some sign fright, speech anxiety, or glossophobia, but in order to take that down and face our fears, I recommend conveying our thoughts logically and focusing what you can improve. And for that, we have the 7 habits of highly effective speaker. You need to know your goal, purpose, audience, and logistics. Prepare adequately. Search the prepared material that you will use. Write down the main ideas without being redundant. It's important to write the conclusion and the introduction once of the body is completed. Create a final draft. It's basically the master brief of what you have produced. Practice not only your speech but your manners. Simulate the place, your voice, and everything you need to have present for that moment. Arrive early in case you need to make some production before it, to check video aspect, to check everything technical aspects. Take that in mind. Delivery technique. You need to consider the 3 V's: visual, vocal, and verbal. Remembering that not only what you're saying is what influences, it's thus your facial impressions, the vestment as well, and how you communicate to them. Highlighting that a proper diction and a right pronunciation of words can help you. Handle question and answers with facts. This will be a problem because all the search you do before this theme, so make sure you answer confidently, with trust, and most important, with no hesitations. Second, the audience. It's important to distinguish them. For that, we have the four main groups. Unaware. They have little or no information of your topic. Different. These know a little something of what you're presenting and are not very interested in what are you saying. So try to make a good impression or something that impact them in order to them follow you and make them pay attention. Favorable. These are the most likely to agree with you. As the others, they don't necessarily need to have to put the same level of importance as you do to the topics. So try to make it dynamic, fresh. So they might be not familiar as you, but of course they will be interested. Unfavorable. The hardest one you could face. They are predisposed and disagree with all you have to say. So don't try to approach them radically with changes. Instead, you could set moderate goals. Try to convince them in a slower way, as usual. Be more logical and try something that they already know or believe, so you can start something to them agree very slowly. And finally, try to be adaptive to your audience if it's necessary, but most importantly, be flexible, because it's more common that you can face all these types of audience, because heterogeneous audience are most common than homogeneous ones. Try not to improvise. It's better to have a plan and prepare yourself as much as possible. Now, to include this section, the objective of the presentation sometimes are the less people give attention, but it's also the most important. So being something imperative in a presentation, and in order to know the ones you could use, you can question yourself the 3 W's: who, what, and why. Who's the person? What's the action they should take? Why will take this action? Once you get that, why don't we move onto the visual they will appreciate when we are ready to presentation? I mean, a good presentation is supported by visual aids. So let's get into visual tools. How many of us have heard about show, don't tell, or a picture worth than a million words? Well, this is because it helps to create an impact. Whereas a presentation needs more than pictures to people understand what you're explaining. A video can help you to save words and the impact to be greater than just words. You could use illustrations, audio, photographs, drawings, tables, diagrams, charts, keywords in a very large size. But pay attention to not overuse these elements. And then, how could you know when to use it? Well, when we need people to understand in a matter of seconds, for that we can make a text diagrams clear and readable, avoiding cluttering of images and keeping them consistent. Having in mind the room layout we need to install so everyone can appreciate the same, the fonts we are using, and style, the bullet points so people can focus and remember more easily, and the text color. It's important, the contrast of everything, because it influences so much the perspective you are given. So for that, and don't make it more monotonous, you could use patterns, textures to captivate their attention. With all we have said before and we heard, from zero to presentation, we could say that the planning has the same importance as the speech, communication tools, visual aid, and the public you are talking to, highlighting that an effective presentation is given with less noise, barriers, and messages misunderstandings. So, to finalize, I like to see what I got myself and what I don't for the future. I believe I need to be more assertive of what I'm saying, understand a little bit more about the topic I'll presenting to you, and pay more attention on the details that are shown in the presentation, such as the composition, the tune, the pitch of the voice. I think three abilities I already have are improvisation, rehearsal a lot, and structuring speeches. Meanwhile, I think three I don't have are nonverbal communication, transitions, and linking ideas is some of the points I'm still working in, and identify my type of presentation. I guess that will be all. I hope you like it and see you next time. Bye bye!